Thank you for watching this recording. And we're talking about how to automate the landlord. I just did a poll of everybody who's on here, and we have 13% of people have 0 units. 50% of people, or half the attendees, have 1 to 4. We have 25% of attendees that have 5 to 10 units, and we have 13% of attendees who have 10 plus units. So we have a good mix here. Pretty common actually for most real estate investors have between 1 and 4 units. Something like, I forgot the stat, something like 50% or more of the US landlords have 1 to 4 units. That's the most common stat out there. So I'd like to just jump into the content real quickly. We have Cody and Chris, who are my kind of partners in crime here as we do our business here in Little Rock. We own 50 plus units. We're trying to become better business owners and get better at processes and systems. And I met Jared. He found me on Bigger Pockets somehow. He lives in Northwest Arkansas, and he's going to share with us some of his content about how he automates and uses free tools to make his life easier, because he normally has a full-time job when notwithstanding the COVID-19 scenario, and has units that he's growing. And so Jared, I go ahead and have you take you off mute and do your introduction and share your screen when you're ready.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. Typically, I have a normal 9 to 5 job, and I will be renovating and managing these properties in the evenings. But depending on how you look at it, the COVID-19 kind of a blessing, because I was in a stage where I actually could utilize this extra time.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe get to share some of this that are these systems that I've been using, and they're very simplistic. And on the landlord side, all of them are free. So yeah, I'm definitely open to walking y'all through them. Do you have any particular one you'd like to start with, or the process overall?
Let's start with the process overall. And while you're doing that screen share, if you're on the Zoom or Facebook, we are monitoring comments. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. Let us know where you're from and what type of investing you do.
Okay, for sure. Let me jump on that. All right, so we're starting up in 3, 2, 1. All right, so I drew this out, very simple, which I'm sure based on that poll, most of you are pretty familiar with the basic process. And mouse never works when Zoom's also running, but you can see at the beginning, I'll jump over to my pencil. So, here we just have leads. You just want as many as possible coming in, and we do that strictly because we want it to be easy. We want as many people looking at our property as possible, so that the very few that we select, we can put up these very high standards, screen out as many as possible, and just have this one down here that gets through. And I'll walk y'all through. So the first part of that funnel here is marketing, and it's just the widest part of the funnel, because we want, again, as many people through as possible, or initially. And all we do for that is we just use Facebook. And over here, I've listed some of the systems we use. So we use Facebook and YouTube. So Facebook ad, it's very simple, a lot of pictures, and just it lists a lot of information, mostly about who would qualify.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't list an address or anything like that, or any contact information, because that'll be done in the next part. So they'll message us and ask basic questions that are in the ad. Anybody that sold anything, of course, has lived that pain where they're asking you everything that's in the ad. Well, now we don't do that. We have one script that we send to everyone, no matter what the question is. I'm sure there'll one day be a question that actually the script doesn't meet, but very simple script that says, like, the first step in this is to fill out our form. And the form is pretty much the entire part of this part of the funnel, screening. So the form will let them go through, it'll document everything, and everyone that uses it, and it'll tell them whether or not they qualify, or at the very least, it'll tell them, like, hey, you likely qualify. I think it's a statement we'll see later at the end. And it's all documented on Google Sheets, just put in there. And again, we sent them in the script as a YouTube video walkthrough that is just us and a 3D tour of the house, panning around, telling them the features, what's available, just room by room, because we want that if they don't like the property, we want them to know as soon as possible, because no one likes to do a showing and they notice something that they're not willing to live with, and you're like, that would have been great to screen that person out early, them screen themselves out, because we only want to rent to people that want to live in the property and like it.
Yeah, and so just to clarify real quick for everybody that's watching, if I understand this correctly, you have an ad on Facebook that describes generically the property, and then in that process, there's a link to the Google Forms. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yeah. In the ad, there's the Google Forms. Almost no one goes through that. They'll always need the script usually, where they message you
they
and
have
then
to
you send the script.
they have to contact you, message you through Facebook Messenger.
They can do either. It is in the ad, like you were saying. It's is in the ad. Most people don't read the ad. It seems they just click those buttons that Facebook allows. That like, is this available? Or
I got you.
Yeah, but our script is very simple and says like basically, and in a very polite way, it says like, this is the first step to do this form below. The form does not ask you personal information. Simply a tool to let you know if you qualify or let if you don't, etc. And then below that, there's a YouTube link, and it says, for your convenience, please, view this 3D tour of the property.
Awesome. And then so when they've done that, then you prompt them with a link to a Google form.
Yes. Yeah. And that script that's sent out, like that, we only have one. Anything they send us, this one message covers it. I wish I could pull it up.
Oh no, I got you. It's just like you have one generically scripted response to when someone is interested that describes, here's a YouTube link, here's why what we're doing, and here's a link to the Google form.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And then the YouTube video as well. Yeah, and it explains, people won't want to give their information, but that's fine because the Google form doesn't ask anything, and that's in the script as well. I can actually read it off if you want, or
well, just no, it's fine. I just want to make sure people understand the context, and then after they're people filling out the form, you can go and finish the explanation.
Yeah, for sure. So they're going through the form, and there's just two scenarios that come from that form. I guess there's like three, but the form's either going to kick them out, and it'll kick them out. It can kick them out on the first question if they hit a disqualifier, because we have set rules. We don't deviate from the rules. And if it's the same thing as them calling us, the form is now asking them a question. And if they answered like smoking, this last property doesn't allow smoking. And if they said, yes, I do smoke, there's just two buttons, yes or no. And they click yes, the form will say, hey, you do not qualify for this property. Say in a polite manner, like, sorry to inform you that based on what you've answered, you don't qualify. So easy peasy, it didn't waste their time. They didn't have to read the ad. It just gets them through to the end. And the other one, or the second scenario, is the one you hope for, is that someone gets completely through the form because they're answering all the right questions. It's just letting them through. And we can definitely, I'll show you a flow chart for that in a minute. So yeah, it's the same thing. If they're answering the right questions, it's going to get them through very quickly. It's going to document their information, and we'll see that in Google Sheets and say, hey, someone made it through. And then we start delivering that top tier service, because we don't give any energy really into that point. It's just a script and the marketing. And the only time we'll contact them is if someone passes, because the form has rejected those that don't. And the other scenario is if they have a special situation, like if they have a guarantor, if there's low credit, the form lets them go on a separate route for those that need a guarantor or double deposit, or guarantor, or if there's other adults, and they'll tell them like, hey, we're not going to contact you until all the other adults have filled the form as well, because the next adult's going to fill it out and they're not going to qualify, and our rules say that every adult living in the property has to qualify. So that saves a lot of time too, because you won't have those that are trying to just apply by themselves so that they can get their boyfriend in that maybe has a lot of disqualifiers. So sorry, I'm not gonna try to drown you out on that, but yeah, so let's say they got through, someone passed and they're getting through, and now we're at the checkpoints. And this is very simple. We send a scripted text, again, just everything's scripted, simple, but we will give them contact information. And it says, hello, my name is Jared Hansen. Thank you for filling our form. these are the times I'm available to call. I would love to talk to you about this property and answering questions you have.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it lets them pick. They have to pick the times. We already know for that week. So if we get someone past, they immediately get the text. They pick the time, and then I'll call them up, and I have a basic script I'll walk through for that as well. But I will talk to them and get an idea, and reassure them that they would likely qualify if they would, and also make sure that they understand that there are costs involved going forward, because there's like a $40 background check and everything. Right. And if they're trying to hide something, hoping it won't pop up, just hey, things will pop up.
Yeah,
but I'm willing to answer any questions.
Yep. And so from the numbers you share with me, that you have maybe, say for example, 300 people may go through and express interest from the Facebook ad. And am I remembering correct that you might get 12 people that actually come through and get to this point of the checks?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I'll write those numbers up there real quick. That'd be a good thing to add to the funnel. So you coming in, the messages will probably be about, well, it's different, but the property that I was talking to you about, the 300, it was severely underpriced. We're just getting it rented so we could renovate the other side and it would pay for itself. Yep. Yeah, let's say 300 to 350. It's all those buttons that Facebook allows them. Some of them are just tire kickers. They're not even interested. Sure. But we don't spend any time on that. Script response. Then in the screening, only about 250, 280 will answer that. Or go through it. And then about 12-ish. Wow. Possibly, I think I tried to look this up after we talked. I think it actually might have been near 20. But a lot of those were, when you call, they falsified something on the form. And got it. Somewhere in there. Yeah, so we would never have the time to talk to 300 people up here. So that would we'd just be ready to rent. We'd just lower our standards. But now we get to have high standards, because now we have a way to only make 12 phone calls. And the last one, I think I made 4, the one I rented this week. And because we just raised the price crazy high, and maybe 50 fill out the form, but I had like 4 phone calls. So it's pretty easy. Mm-hmm. Yep. So after that, we're down at the check still. Mm-hmm. I have a checklist. I can show you all that later. Just basic stuff. And we try not to put any effort until they've proven, they're doing most of the work here. And then we just want someone that's willing and able to work with us and prove that they want to rent the property and they're able to. So the next part is Cozy. We send them to Cozy after a showing, that they'll do a background check and a credit check here, and create an applicant profile, because they'll need to know how to use Cozy to rent the property anyways, because we go through there. So this actually shows that they're able and willing to use the internet. They paid, and now I see their background and their credit information. Once that's done, it's we're open to random phone calls. We're open to any questions they have, them calling us, because now we've got someone that's proven themselves and they're a top tier candidate.
And they're invested in this process because they've gone through all this effort to find this property, and they're serious.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they've made it that far, they're very qualified, and we want them to rent from us. Okay. And so we're willing to. All right. So that was time at that point.
A ton of great information. Cody and Chris, do you have your heads around this?
Yeah, that's something that we do. Jared, this is Cody here, down in Little Rock, is we do a lot of automation ourselves, but I'm looking at people who may not know of this stuff, and I just want to let it be known that just because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean you can't find somebody to fill this out for you and complete it. But It just goes to show that that's what you're looking to do, is really automate the process, because you don't need to spend your time talking to 300 people, and then you got 5 properties. Now you're talking to 1,500 people. You just can't do it. So I love the automation there, to where you spend your highest, best time there at the bottom, the 12 to 20.
Yeah. So if you're on here, guys watching this, we're going to give you all this stuff. He's been so magnanimous that what he's built, he's going to share with you his checklist, his Google Forms, and the flow chart and everything we present on here tonight. So stick around to the end, and we'll make sure and give you all this content that you can take this. And this is all using free resources, Facebook ads that you're not paying for. That you're just putting. It's not even an ad, right? Is it? It's just you're putting on Facebook Marketplace, right?
Yeah. It's just
yeah. And Google Forms
ad.
is
Google
free.
Forms are free.
Cozy.co is free.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the copy that I've shared is they can personalize it, just change whatever criteria they have. Like, hey, I actually don't require a credit score, just delete that question and carry on.
Hey, Jared, one other thing that I found helpful is putting lock boxes on our doors so that we don't have to go to every property at 2:00 on Sunday to show the unit. Once they get down to that check system, that bottom of the pipeline or the funnel you have, we then follow up with, here are some instructions to do next. It's like, send your photo ID to this number, and that releases the code, so to speak, that's on the door, and they can just go over there on their own time to look at it and freeze up your time.
Oh, absolutely. And the local service here that I kind of tailor a lot of these systems after, they do that, and it actually charges you $1 or some simple fee. It's $1 because they get the lockbox for free. And
nice.
So you have to log on online. You have to have your phone, and again, the energy. They don't have to message you, and it says on their front, you can view any open property through this app. You don't have to contact us. And I was like, that would be awesome, but honestly, I only offer the showing once they've done everything except the background and credit check. And I actually want to meet them at that point because, but in the future, once I have too many properties, of course, that'll be something that I'll probably, likely do. But for now, I actually, on the small scale, which y'all said 50% of landlords are 1 to 4 units, I'm still at that. I like to make sure that they are who they said they are. I get a good feel for them because a lot of times in person, you can just start a conversation and they'll just go and they'll tell you stuff that maybe they didn't mean to, or you'll notice like covered in cat hair or something. They said they didn't have a pet.
Jared, I do want to back you up here to the screening process. Cody and I have a similar system in place. And I wanted to ask you how effective that YouTube video walkthrough has been. Because I think that's a very innovative concept that we oftentimes don't see, especially from a rental unit standpoint.
I think it's extremely useful. I don't have the numbers like the Google form. It tracks its own numbers, but I know I usually get I think on that 300, maybe like 75 people looked at it, like 50, 75, somewhere in there. I don't really remember, but I had 2 or 3 of them, and I love it because like that one property had a dryer in the bedroom, and it's something I'd listen to the ad and like, hey, just letting you know there's a dryer in the bedroom. But no one will read the ad, and they'll get there and like, oh, so the dryer's in the bedroom, and you're like, man, you just wasted my time because it's listed. But that video, I'll send it to them even on the text right before the show. I'm like, hey, just again, here's the video, and I think it's really useful because exactly, a situation like that in a weird property, especially. I'd rather them screen themselves out and be like, I wouldn't be happy here because the people we accept are actively like wanting to live in that space, and I like it because there's no complaints. Like, hey, we showed you everything, let you know everything.
Yeah, no, I like that. Thank you for sharing that because I think that's super effective.
And I've got the little tour pulled up that I can show y'all and give you the information, walk you through what I've done for that video.
Let's go ahead and check that out if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. Do something a little active. So this is on the Matterhorn software, which I haven't been using yet. I've just been using Zillow 3D, but our Matterport software. Yeah, Matterport. And I just went through with our little camera and scanned. This is one side of our duplex, and it lets you see the space. But this is how I'll start out the video. I'll just screen record my iPad, and I'll just scan the outside of this house. Start off like, this property is located in a single family neighborhood. It is the only multifamily in a single family neighborhood. Its best features. And then I'll point out landmarks. Like I'll say, and this with my mouse here so they can see what I'm pointing. Like right behind this tree is this large school with a private access. They installed a concrete driveway there, and I'll point out that there's a large recreation center in this area, and they're 0.2 miles from bike trail, things that they've never noticed, like, hey, that bike trail, that's billions of dollars, from the Walton family. Well, you can ride your bike there, get access it, and a lot of people will take that trail to work. And I'll point out other things like the police. A lot of people like to know there's a police station near them. And then I'll point out like, hey, behind this property, medical professional is within 0.6 miles of the hospital. I'll do all that. I'll have all these scripted little quick facts, and then I'm like, all right, let's view it and show them. And you can see this isn't a magnanimous property, but because of these systems, you can entertain a lot of people because it feels like they're getting top tier treatment here. You let them know if they qualified real quick with that form. You're like, walk them through the property, you look interested in little things, new electric range,
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, I love that
luxury
you can
vinyl
point that
flooring
out.
here.
That
Yeah,
is
and,
slick.
I saw that from a YouTuber, and he was using this software, and I was like, oh, okay, I got to do this. But yeah.
But Matterport is not a free service, right?
Matterport is not. I think I pay like $6 or something or not, and then you can have 5 scans going that you're actively using, and then there's business license for it. But you can do these for free with your iPhone, and like I said, everything's free. And this, I haven't used one of these for a YouTube video. I just use the iPhone Splice Panoramas.
Got it.
And that software is Google or Zillow 3D, and you have to have kind of a newer iPhone. But yeah, you can just go in each room and make a circle, the panorama, and it'll automatically build the same thing.
And it prompts you what to do. Like it says, like has little circles, and you move your phone around, and it takes pictures. Yeah.
Yep. And it'll let you walk through. It's not near as intuitive as this, but obviously because this is a paid service. But yeah, so you can scan it and be like, all right, well, and I'll point out like, this property does have 2 rooms. That one, again, as in the ad, is more of an office or possibly a nursery, because it's through the master, and that helps a lot of people notice things like that. Like, hey, you see this is a second room, but it is not really a bedroom. It won't work for adults, like adult roommates, because the drop in privacy, and then show them the key things like, hey, look at this nice bathroom, that's pretty new. Nice things, luxury vinyl floor. I'll point out things like that. Like, hey, stack washer and dryer. But yeah, this will throw some people won't want to rent this space, but I'd rather them tell me that before I spend any time on them.
Or have them like self-select, like, okay, this doesn't work for me, versus taking up all your time on a showing that they may or may not show up for. They can just do this yourself. I mean, you're putting data into people's hands.
Exactly. And yeah, show me some effort. And I'll ask them that during the phone call, like, hey, have you seen the video? Would you let me know once you've watched it, and if you're still interested? Things like that. That
I love that.
Sound polite, but you're like, I just want to make sure like be very friendly, but at the same time, it's like, hey, can you do all the effort possible before I spend time on this?
Yeah, I found the more steps. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Oh, I think we're gonna say the same thing. The more steps that you make people jump through, the more it filters. And how many times, everybody on here who's a landlord knows that, how many times have you gotten a call from somebody who is asking you about, how many bedrooms to have? It's in the ad, folks. I mean, like, if you're asking that question, then it's you're not as serious. You're wasting both of our times.
That's my favorite.
Is there a deposit? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and it's listed. It's very clear. And we tried everything before the form. Like, hey, like, please do not contact us if you ask a question that's answered in this ad. We won't respond. Things like that. But it just seems better to be super open and polite, but have a system that lets them screen themselves, but they get all their questions answered before talking to you.
Okay, well, let's check out that. It would make sense to jump over to the Google form now.
Yeah, sure.
And I do have one comment on that.
Go ahead, Chris.
I love that you said, they filter themselves out, but you all along you are being very polite to them, right?
Yes.
And I think that's a big piece of it, and that's a good nugget. That let people filter themselves out. You don't have to, as a landlord, when you're screening people, you don't have to come off as the bad guy, right? They screen.
We want to work with good people, right? Like,
exactly.
It's very exciting when you find that one that qualifies. You're like, this person can be here a while and not going to have any problems.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling.
And I can't see, but was that Cody talking there?
No, it's Chris.
Oh, Chris. Okay. Well, yeah, Chris, and you're pointing that out. And actually, one of our best tenants works for Walmart. She gets work from home. She wouldn't have passed, and yeah, I might not have been as energetic answering her responses, but because she filled out the form, I was like, whoa, she has a guarantor. Her guarantor is highly qualified, and her guarantor has already went through the process. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this, because now I've got, you know, this two highly qualified people that have already went through everything. So I wouldn't have known just looking at her, because she wouldn't have qualified, but the form told me, because it has options, and we can go through that. Like, it'll run them through all the options. I'll tell them. But yeah, so this is the form here. And this is what I see. And I'll show you real quick what someone would see filling it out. So it's only a page at a time. They're like, okay, they're on their phone. Very easy, you know, like, let's fill out. Well, I won't fill out right now, but yeah. So very easy, and they'll go next. It'll be another 1 or 2 questions, and you can see on my side that, you know, there's many of these. And these are all the questions that everyone's going to ask, or y'all would ask if someone called. So, but there's special things in here. And I'll go ahead. I don't want to dive. I don't know how far y'all want me to dive in, but see, there's programming in here. So if they said, I'm willing and able to supply a double deposit, and this section is for someone that had too low of credit to qualify. So It tells them the options available. You know, if they didn't have the means, like a double deposit or a guarantor, then it'll just tell them, like, hey, you don't meet the qualifications. But and would you like me to pull up the flow chart? Maybe that'll be useful to see side by side. And this is the flow chart for the form here. So we're at the start, and you can see they can either get through or not just by that one question, like, are you going to be honest? And that's just a mindset thing. But so if they click no, they'll get kicked off. But they click yes, they get through, and now they're at pets. So we added this since the flow chart because we couldn't find people after that. Yeah, so we're at pets, and you know, there's the 4 options that you see here. Like, I'm a guarantor, because we don't care if guarantors have pets. They don't. It doesn't matter. They don't live there. And then you have yes or no to qualify, and it'll send them right through to smoking. They answered yes. Sorry, like, you don't qualify. It was in the ad. And then other, in case they have like a service animal or something like that, and we don't want to accidentally screen anyone. But there's a mine, this little copy that I made up for y'all, doesn't have it, but mine has a description there, like, do not include FHAs, service animals, or anything protected by the
yeah, there are special notes
HSAs, yeah.
that will show up if someone's going through that themselves. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. And if it's not on this little copy I made for y'all, so you might want to add that in there. They might have took all the descriptions out. Okay, but we can get that back in there. Yeah. So is there anything that you are seeing that maybe I'm not explaining on this? You'd like more detail on?
Well, let's open it up to anybody on Facebook or Zoom that's seen this. This makes sense to me, but this is the 3rd time I'm seeing it. So what are you guys seeing? Is are you following what Jaren's putting out there? Is this something you feel like you could use in your business?
I will say I really like the flow chart.
Yeah, it does break it down a lot easier.
Yeah, I really like explanations in that way, because that's how I see it. I see it, hey, you either make it through or you don't. And then you know, I can visually see that through the chart.
Well, to even further that, I mean, if you don't know how to build this out, but you know how to draw, you know, on paper with a pen, draw it out, take a picture of it, and then send that to a VA overseas to build that out for you.
Yes, yeah, I like that you are on VAs. I'm going to try one of those out eventually, but I haven't done that so far. Yeah, and a lot of people, that this is, you know, I use like the word programming to explain how it works, but, you know, in logic, but it's very simple. Like, they get through, they don't, or there's a special scenario. And some of these are kind of complex, but you don't have to have all these. You could use it just the basic questions, and that are yes or no, yes or no, yes. You know, that's kind of how it started for us. Then we were noticing, I don't want to make a phone call to explain the guarantor program. I don't want to have to make a phone call to tell them that other adults need to qualify, you know. So, but you can grow this slowly.
Right.
You know, start off with maybe just what's your name and phone number, and I'm going to get back to you. Super simple. There's no programming. It's they input those 2 things, and it tells them I'm going to be in contact with you.
Hey, also, do you keep these leads who don't are not qualified, but that didn't get the property in kind of like a central hub to send out a blast email for the next property that becomes available?
We actually don't. It's never really been a problem to find a qualified tenant. If someone made it all the way through, and maybe they made it through after it's already pending, I'll tell them you can call me once a month and I'll let you know if we have another property. Because yeah, they will like that service that we're like easy to work with. We're real quick once they pass. Like we're very open to them once they pass. But yeah, I don't put that on myself to keep in touch. I instead ask them like, hey, or tell them, hey, you can call me once a month because they are qualified and I don't mind answering that call. I'm like, hey, no, sorry, or send me a text. You know, like, oh, sorry, nothing available yet.
Right. Yeah. I'm just kind
out,
of
I get
thinking.
that. Sure.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking in terms of a little bit more skill if you have 50 properties or 100 or so.
Oh yeah.
That means
Okay.
you have, 10, 20 open available units at any point in time to fill up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I never even thought about that. But if you were like an apartment manager or like you had a 32 unit apartment building, then yeah, that absolutely could be very useful because they are all documented. You could do that. I'll highlight a qualified person green on Google Sheets. And because this form automatically populates Google Sheets, well, I'll highlight them green. Yeah, you could go back and be like, hey, just checking. You still looking? You know, yeah, you could absolutely do that. But yep.
And then,
you want me to go any further into this, or?
I was going to say this same technique can apply across the board to anything that you're trying to generate leads for, whether it be just tenant buyers, people who are looking to do the whole rent to own.
Yeah.
Just across the board.
And if you had like a really motivated seller, like maybe y'all have too many wholesaling deals, maybe the COVID-19 gets too crazy, and then you have too many motivated ones, this will show you the ones that are motivated because they went through the process, but also you could have a question like, what do you think your property's worth? How long have you owned it? And that gets you, do they have equity? Is there equity there?
Absolutely. This might even be a good way to train an existing outbound calling person or someone who's taking in calls or inbound calling person. They might fill out a Google form and that might generate certain behavior. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And, now that you are mentioning that, gathering information, show you what you can click. And I'm only going to show you certain ones because there's some people's names on this form. Yeah. But yeah, so this is from the last one, yeah, and I said like it rented pretty easy. It's way overpriced, but it still rented pretty easy because of this system. But it was 56 people, and now I can see the data on my population for this area, like how many people had pets, how many people got kicked off because of that. And some of these are like the others one said service dog because someone filled out service dog. But it'll say like yes or no to smoke. Like, okay, there's most of them aren't smokers, but there is a tiny bit, so I don't really need to tailor to that need. And then you have income. Now I can see, it's just good data to have, like what kind of properties rent in that, or what kind of people are interested in it, what are they normally making.
What income levels?
Underpricing it.
Yeah. What income levels would be applying or would express interest in a property that would rent for this much?
Yeah. What's their credit score? What's the average credit score? And that's all super valuable information. If you use it in the right manner. That's as far as I can go without you seeing names on some of it, but
that's excellent.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love the chart. Makes it super easy to interpret and understand. And
yeah,
I like the visual.
Yeah. And you can see here, like this is a special scenario, like the low credit, we get that a lot, especially on the first one because it's a very cheap unit. Are we underpriced it? Well, now I don't have to explain this to them. They now have the two options. Like if they had a credit score and they passed or failed, but no, now they have low, so it'll put them over here and I'll tell them, like, explain the whole process. Like, hey, we have two options. We have increased deposit, we have a guarantor, or you can meet neither of those. And then again, it's going to tell them like, we're not going to contact you. You may think you have a guarantor basically, but we'll contact you once your guarantor fills it out and we know it's serious. Because a lot of people will say like, oh yeah, my dad's going to back me up. And that dad's like, oh no, he's into some trouble lately. I'm definitely not signing for, this guy right now. And that saved us a lot of time. That one doesn't happen a lot, but yeah, there's a lot of people that are real confident. Like, oh, I'll find someone. I'm like, okay, yeah, when you do, let me know and we'll move forward. Yeah, basically. Yep. And then you got some of the more, like a lot of things. But yeah, then it's like, boom, you passed. Can I have your email and phone number? And it tells them the next step. So a qualified tenant's going to be happy. They're going to get through it very quickly within probably 2 minutes. And they're going to say, okay, I've done everything I can do, because they'll tell them like, hey, don't click or forget to click submit and give me your phone and email. I'm going to reach out to you. That's the next step. And yeah, now they know their place is saved in line, that we have their information. They've done all they can.
I want to jump in here real quick and mention this, that the next step, helping them understand what is the next step after they fill the form out is pretty vital.
Sure.
I think it's great that you have that listed out, because I've seen it in the past where people don't know that next step, and they're like, well, now what? I fill out the form. Do I qualify? Do I not qualify? Like, what's the deal? What are we doing?
How long am I going to wait?
Yep.
Are you even checking these? Yeah, basic things. And we respond very quickly when someone gets through. We check. Sometimes my wife will check all the time because she's a realtor and I have my desktop open beside her. But yeah, if someone gets through, we're very responsive after that, because we're like, all right, this person's put in energy, and we won't do a lot of things. Most of it's script in that one phone call, but scheduling a phone call. But still, that high class tenant, they're gonna have other options. Yeah, they're gonna, if they're sitting on their hands, they haven't given us anything at this point besides energy, so they could go out and apply to the next place and they're going to qualify. So
right. Yeah, I like
responsive.
that. I like helping them see what that next step is.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if y'all want to move into anything else, or you want to stay here. We can talk about Cozy, or
Let's move into Cozy. Once someone gets through this, how are you using Cozy? And if for those of you who aren't familiar, what is Cozy?
Yeah, for sure. Cozy, hopefully I don't have anything pulled up. This is just a fake account that we use to test things on. So that's fine for you to see. I'm going to push that over. Or this applicant is a fake applicant that we use.
Okay.
So that's fine for you to see. Yeah, Cozy is a property management software, and it was funded by Google, or seed funded. And they have a lot of heavy hitters behind it, like the author of Landlordology, or the creator of that website, which I used a lot when I was early into this. And he went on to their programming team and everything. They have a lot of stuff set up. You can do background checks through it. You can do maintenance requests through it. I think now screening, of course, because the background and credit check. Let's see, you can get messages. So we use this for everything. We do offer they can message us through text, but immediately if it's like a maintenance thing, we're like, okay, great, go file a maintenance request, please, and we're gonna jump right on that. So you can have that. Everything's documented. You can prove that you've been responsible to your duties. Like if maintenance request goes out, we'll complete it. We'll post a picture to it showing that we did it. They can post videos. We love that on maintenance. So they're like, hey, leaky toilet, like what kind of leak, onto the floor, into the bowl, etc. Now they can show a video and you're, oh, okay, that's easy. I'm just going to bring a screwdriver and adjust that. Because maybe it's overflowing, but it's basic things. There's paid services, which they'll do like Rentometer, basically. I don't use those too much, but I like the help center for especially tenants, because now they can go check real quick on basic things like how do I do that before asking me. And that's super useful. Let's see if there's anything here I can show you. Oh, and expenses. That's so good. I'll show you. That's nice. Our accountant loves this. Yeah, so you can just pull it up with your phone and track all your little expenses, and it puts it, you can export them here, and they're pretty PDFs. You can track your payments. I like watching those, make sure it'll alert you if they have set up payments that, hey, someone just dropped their payment.
Yep.
You might want to check on them, basically. Listings, but we mainly did Cozy for the background and credit check, and now that we're there, we love it. Let's go see some maintenance, maybe. You can see I've got none open, closed 5. Let's see, system test. I can show you that one. It's just, again, that fake profile, that, and then post a picture because we want to make sure. And then the good test.
Testing the system.
yeah, testing the system. And I'll fill out the form about every time I change it too, to make sure it still works.
Hey, we got a couple of questions here. One is a step back. Andrew asks, do you require double deposit, or I'm sorry, at what point do you require double deposit or a guarantor for an applicant?
Okay, so double deposit or guarantor, and I'll pull that back up, and that flow chart.
What's the criteria to get there?
Yeah, for sure. So they'll hit credit score, and it's based on the property, but maybe let's say we actually have pretty low credit scores. So 600 credit score, maybe they have 599, 400. I don't know. But that's the point. If they do not meet the minimum credit score, then those options are available, just to mitigate that risk on our end. Because we're willing to work with those who are qualified. Because maybe it's like a medical debt that ruined their credit,
Right.
But at the same time, we want to make sure that we mitigate the risk, because it has to be profitable.
Yeah, if someone's you set some sort of consistent threshold for what you consider low credit, Andrew, and you give. So I prefer not to disqualify people. I like to give people, okay, well, this doesn't qualify, so here's what you can do. Here you can go get a guarantor, or you can do an increased deposit to account for that. It's a good answer. Got 2 more questions here from Anthony. He heard that because Cozy auto drafts, you get paid by your tenants much more often. I'm not sure I've seen that. Have you seen that?
I've never had anyone miss a payment with Cozy. We love it. And actually, one of our leases, we had figured out where the guarantor, it actually went through the guarantor's bank account. And it was set up automatic payments bi-weekly. So there's a method to do that. But yeah, I would assume it's going to work out much more in your favor, because there's no excuse. They can pay online. And there's automatic payments. We give everyone a YouTube link on lease signing day. This nice cozy thing that shows them how to set it up. And people love that. They're like, a good qualified tenant doesn't want to think about paying rent. They're just going to do it.
Yeah. And I see what his question is. He's saying because it's automated in an auto draft, that the tenants are less likely to forget to pay their rent. So yeah. I agree with that. His next question is, how do you know what to charge for rent if you don't have MLS access? So I'll answer that first, and I'll let you go. I've never had an issue figuring out what the rent is. I mean, once you have enough properties, you kind of know what the going rent is in an area. You can also use things like the Zillow rent estimate, which I find in my market tends to be a bit high. And there's also a tool called Rentometer or Rentometer, however you want to pronounce it.
Love it.
You can use, and I think did you say that's connected to Cozy somehow?
No, Rentometer, I don't really know much about them. A book I read suggests, but we love Rentometer. We do it.
Maybe coming from Zillow and other sources like that, because you can just go on Zillow and not even do this estimate, but look at for rent only in that area and see what other landlords are doing with their homes.
And those are the ones that are advertised for rent. So that doesn't mean that's what people are truly renting for, but it gives you the ballpark. And Rentometer uses actual data of reporting, like crowdsourcing what people have actually paid for rent. And the free service lets you do it like 5 or 10 times, and it gives you like 10 data points. The paid service, which I don't have, I've done a trial once many years ago, but it was really slick. It had a really advanced level, but I didn't find that I needed to analyze what the going rent is. Once I put a property out for the market, if it rented quickly, then it means I had the market right. I didn't need another source like the MLS. And actually having the MLS in Central Arkansas wouldn't really help you that much. It's not used for rents very often.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't speak to it, but yeah, like you're saying, Rentometer, and then getting a feel for your market. Don't trust ones that are open to rent, but sometimes apartment buildings are good because they're kind of steady, like they don't change too much. But my favorite method is just to throw it on there overpriced and back it off $5 every now and then, because it renews the ad, it jumps back to the top, and you get all these big hit of people interested all of a sudden again, and you only dropped it $5. But that would never be possible without the form because of your time, or these screening processes, because you don't want to talk to too many underqualified people for a high rent. But just an example of that is the first part of that duplex, we still have it rented for $550 with bi-weekly. It's averages $590 per month. And then the other side, because we just started high, we found a qualified person that met everything, and we rented for $730. So a huge jump.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, but because we're getting a million people, and there's someone that's willing and able and just perfectly fine with paying that because it's close to where they work or something, or the Greenway Park Trail, we get that one a lot.
Yeah, you're attracting the best tenant highest paying, best tenant for your area because you have a tool that allows you to filter through so many applications so quickly. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Yep. And if you didn't have that option, I'm sure, like when I was screening roommates in college, you know, you get that 10th call and you're just like, man, I'm just going to accept the next guy. If he meets these, you know, start lowering your expectations every single time. But this one lets you have a high resolve, and like you're like, no, it doesn't matter to me because they screen themselves. Let's keep it high and just wait for someone that's qualified and that wants to do that and is willing. But
Cool.
and then paid services, see here on Cozy, I saw this and I haven't tried it just because Rentometer is so easy to use. You can get those free trials. But yeah, rent estimate here. I guess you could try that. I've never.
Oh, I haven't seen that before.
Yep. Yep. And express payouts if you wanted to get your payment quick. It only takes 3 days, so I don't know why someone would pay to get it a little quicker. But yeah, yeah.
Is anybody else on here using Cozy that's watching? I don't have a pre-planned poll, but Corey says
One thing that that we see with Cozy is the background check takes a long time to come through. It could be as early as 2 hours or as long as 2 months.
Oh wow, I've never had one take more than maybe 2 days, and that was because it was a weekend that ended on a holiday, but it still came through pretty quick. And even the COVID one, I didn't even know he would have gotten it done. And the next morning I woke up and just checked my emails. Like, oh, he's finished his background checks. I can't speak to that. I've had them very quick. Maybe Arkansas is easier to get reports back from. Yeah. And all of our tenants also live in Arkansas and they haven't made a lot of moves. I'm sure if they're having to do a background check that crosses borders like that, then it could be a lot more strenuous. Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything that we talked about covering that you'd like to cover that we haven't done yet, Jared?
I think checklist, if you want to roll through that, then we can give that out. Sure. Oh, and notability, if they're not using that, that's super useful.
Okay. Let's do the checklist first.
Yeah, sure. So basically, this is just a simple checklist I've been kind of adding to. It's by no means covers everything, but yes, I'll just go through and be like, all right, this is after a show. I'm like, all right, send me the application. And nothing happened, so I got a background check and they passed that. Okay, now we have a scoring system. I can show you all that if you want. It gives them a rating between like 0 and 12, and there's some that automatically get accepted no matter what, and then some that need additional things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's just another system we use, a scoring system. So you reject or accept, and that'll be, if it's due to credit, we'll have to send them a little notice or a little letter. But collect proof of income is next, because now they've made it past that. We'll either have these two options: 3 months bank statements or 3 recent pay stubs. Those are per 2 weeks.
Jared, I got a question.
Yeah, for sure.
When a tenant has, let's say, a low credit score, does your deposit go up on them, or have you ever tested the waters on that, saying like, oh, you have a poor credit score, well, we'll just charge you a little bit more on the deposit?
Yes, we don't do any special calculations, just double. Like they can pay double or have a guarantor for the double deposit,
Mm-hmm.
But we have started lowering our deposit and increasing the rent, and people seem to like that. I don't know why, but I guess because it's not as much the same day.
Right.
But we've been trying that out. But yeah, that's our only option, is double our guarantor for that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and continuing through just basic stuff. We'll go ahead and print. That's the one I like here, is just seeing like, do I have this piece for them sign this. We have e-sign also, but if they have a pet deposit, rent receipt, or things that you might just forget that aren't worth dedicating to memory because you just overburden yourself. So it's just basically a scratch note list that someone may find useful and tailored towards themselves. And basic stuff like lease signing meeting, I bring this to the table and we'll just go through each thing. First month's rent, they get a receipt back from it. I'll scan the receipt because they keep the receipt. But basic things I don't forget anything, hopefully. And then after, I still have stuff to do that I'll put their birthday into my calendar. So I send them a birthday card.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think things like that. But if you have good tenants, then you have the energy and time to do stuff like that. We do move-in baskets. We put a basket there and it has all kinds of goodies and the birthday present, the move-out packet. But basic stuff like that. That's about all that we touched on, except for notability, but which isn't super duper necessary by any means for landlording.
Yeah. So one of the tools that he's using, which I don't think is free, but what he created that flowchart in is a app called Notability, which I believe is designed for Apple products. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's the only one I use it on. I don't know if it's available to other Android
Yeah, I'm not sure
software.
that it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just a cool little tool.
Yep, for sure. And just scribbling notes. I update my I like having a physical version of everything, but I'll update Notability every day and then air print it to my printer, so I can have something that can get torn up in my pocket all day long, so I can go through my checklist. But Notability is where I store everything, which is what we're using in this screen right now. So.
Okay, well, we'll open up to live questions. Anybody else have any questions or comments about what Jared's been doing or how you could apply this in your business? We will make everything that he has shared with us available to you. To do that, you can text the word investor to the number 33777. So I'll go ahead and type that in here, investor to 33777. And you'll get a prompt from me, another one of those tools that you can automate some things with. And you'll get an email from me with a free gift, and just email me back saying, I want all this awesome stuff that Jared shared with us, and I'll send it to you. Corey has a question. I think I might have missed it, but what would be a good way to store email names for future listings to communicate to them later? Okay, so the way Google Forms is set up is that it will export it to a Google Sheet. Is that right, Jared?
Google Forms, yes, it's all stored indefinitely if you don't delete it on Google Sheets, and that is an option you can click. I can show you where it is, but it's a button. You swipe on the form, and there's just a little Google Sheet icon, and you click it, and then that's it. That's all. It's automatically going to start saving it actively. You don't have to continuously do something, and it's all there forever.
Yeah, so you have access to their name and number, and provided they put in correct information. Now you can text and or email them announcements about later, either product, services, a house that's for rent, or a house you're trying to sell. One of the things that I've been thinking about doing with this, that Cody and I've been talking about, is acquiring people who are interested in rent to own. So there are a lot of people who don't quite qualify for a traditional mortgage, but they would love to be able to rent to own a property. And this is the exact same way that we could attract these sort of potential residents, and then win new. So I think we could build up a list of 50, 100 people pretty quickly. And then when a new property comes available, we could sell that thing very quickly to somebody who's just been looking for that deal. Rick mentioned that Google Drawings is also a free flowchart solution. So that might be a good way to do that if you're either not an Apple user or don't want to bust out the $5 or $6 for Notability.
And Word has a flowchart, and Lucidchart gives you a free trial. Those are great options as well.
Yeah, we've been experimenting with lucid charts a little bit internally. I'm not sure we've mastered it yet, but you can do some pretty fancy presentations for flowcharts in there.
There's also another feature from Google. Was it drawings.io? I don't know if that maybe is what Rick's referring to, but I've used that before to draw out flowcharts.
Okay.
I'm gonna try that. I like Google. Anything Google services, it's just a great product.
Yeah.
Usually, because they have so much money and backing and programmers that are top notch.
Yeah, Rick said it's the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so we're an hour into this. I don't want to take up too much of everybody's time, but this has been a bunch of material. We'll leave it open for a few more minutes if there are questions. If we don't get a question in the next minute or two, we will adjourn. Go ahead, Chris.
I've got one. Anthony, he said, does Cozy help you evict people?
They do not. Hopefully, you're not having to do an eviction, but there are benefits. So yes, it could help. So if you were getting someone and you're getting ready to evict, and like maybe they like if you had a Dropbox, they put in a partial payment. So now they've continued paying, so they may have certain rights. Cozy, you could use a tool like that because you can stop payments. I can put a stop to payments. I can make them pay their late fees before they pay rent. Because yeah, that's another thing. They're like, I paid rent, and you're like, well, everything's super documented. It would look great in front of a judge walking out and be like, here's exactly everything I did. I'm 100% on top of this table. Like there's nothing that that's undocumented. So it could be useful. Yeah.
Good question. Anything else from anybody? You bet, Rick. Okay. If you haven't already, text the word investor to number 33777. We will share with you a link to this recording and the flow chart and the checklist and anything else that Jared has sent over to me as his deal. Hey, Jared, if anybody wants to find you, how would they go about getting a hold of you to learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, so I don't really do any marketing at this point, besides going to REI meetings. But if you live in Arkansas, especially, and you want to chat, you can definitely just send me a text, and I'll just give out my phone number if that's cool.
Sure.
It's 479-857-0473. I know I might regret that if you become like super big on YouTube, and then I'll ask you to take that down, like if the texts start rolling in. But
yeah, I think you're safe. I think you're safe.
Okay. I don't know, man. Get that form going. It may get kind of crazy. Like,
yeah, we never know. We'll always take care of you. So Corey says, just y'all's opinion, but I love the idea of having a video of how to do water electric shutoff. Where would you put that? Thinking high stress situation, where can I refer to something real quick? So if you've ever done a video of showing somebody how to do it on a screen, you can use a tool like Loom. But if it's an actual video on your like an explanation, one service or that it's we all use is it's YouTube Unlisted. So you could have a YouTube Unlisted video and post it out there. That's one option. Another option is Vimeo, which you have to pay for that after so much per month. But if you're just doing a couple of videos, that would be a fine place to use it as Vimeo.
and I especially like what you said, YouTube Unlisted. That's how it I have a few YouTube videos out, and that's kind of how I started because I was using it for free storage. And so, yeah, I'll send them like how to set up bi-weekly payments because I don't want them to struggle and I want them to do an automatic payment system. So I'll send them a video where I do it and I'll screen record and like, hey, these are the exact steps. And now I have that video. I won't use their name usually. So I have that video in the future. And now if the next guy needs help, boom, immediately I look super helpful forever now. But I just did it once, and I don't have to remember how to do it or explain it verbally to someone.
That's a great idea. So any sort of training that you're doing for an employee or a tenant, and you make it generic, say, hey, this is how you do it, and then post it on YouTube Unlisted as a way to prompt somebody on how to do something when they're going through the checklist or something like that. Anthony has another question. How do you find out if a potential tenant has been evicted and why?
That I haven't had one show up yet, but that should show up on your background check. Because that would be very clear as a court case that a judge said, sorry, tenant, like you are in the wrong, pay out to said person. And it, I believe, it stays on their record for a good bit, but I personally haven't had to, usually if you tell them like, hey, there's going to be a $40 Cozy background check. And if these things pop up, collections from utilities or an eviction or, the different crimes that we have that are on there that we screen for, then it'll be an automatic cancellation. They're not going to want to spend $40 because they know it's there usually.
Yeah, I agree. Good questions, guys. Any more?
And that's classic case of them filtering themselves out.
Yeah.
They do it themselves.
Yeah. What's funny is I've had people apply. And I told them, we're going to run your background check, and if you have these things, we're not want to approve, and they apply, and it's on there. Like, what? Why did you
Yeah.
just spend $40? I told you this.
Yeah. It makes it, I feel a little bad anytime someone spends $40, but the one that pops up a lot for me is utility collections. Cause that a lot of times, especially in Arkansas, it's just cheaper to let them go or cash for keys it. And, but they'll skip town on that utility. They'll be like, oh yeah, screw you. I'm going to leave a collection on your utility for that property. But you're like, no, it's screw you, because now the next landlord knows that, hey, if that's that electric company, someone skipped town, they left the property, they decided not to pay. And, that's something we screen for. And that's the one that does pop up.
I think that's a really good one, because people forget about that they have utility things out there, or that it's being reported to their credit report. And because a lot of people don't know how to check their own credit report, they just run it and they just hope it comes out okay. And if you can't pay your utilities consistently, then you're probably not going to pay your rent consistently.
Yeah. And we used to have a website we'd suggest them, because you can run your credit report for free once a year through TransUnion and Equifax, maybe. You can get two, and that'll show you what you have on you. But now with the form, it kind of shows them, like, if these things popped up, it'll tell them like, you're not going to qualify anyway. So I've never had to explain that since I started using the form to someone, like, hey, you could go check, because usually they know what, the people that make it to the form and the process, they're more above board, and they kind of
basically what I'm hearing is this form solves all. Because if you see problems coming up, you address it in your form. It's like a flow chart, and like, here are the scenarios. It's so smart, because you're saving yourself so much time. I don't think I've ever seen 250 applications, but people that I've actually collected information on, 250 per property. That's incredible.
Yeah, I started scrolling through it. I wanted to really show y'all, because it's inspiring to see this huge Google Doc that you're scrolling through, and just being like, God, imagine if you were taking that call. Like, I would still be taking those calls from earlier this year, but now you're just seeing this, and I tried to go through it, but they always sneak in some. I didn't want to show anybody's name. That's about all the personal information. But I was trying to black them all out, and I was just like,
too much.
It's just so much information there, but thank God, because that's all those calls that now, again, we didn't have to take. And I like going back to it and scrolling through it, because it reminds me of how efficient it is,
Well, excellent. Jared, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything that we haven't covered that give you one last call?
Final round.
I believe. I believe that's about it. I definitely have a lot of stuff I'm interested in talking about. Maybe talk about it. If you think anything's worth getting out there, we can do some more in the future.
You betcha. Yeah, I'm not going to ignore you. That's for sure. You're doing too many cool things for me to learn from. So I appreciate you sharing.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I'll
everybody,
my crawl space robot later that we drive under crawl spaces.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, I could use that. I could use one of those.
Yeah.
Sales guy Chris over here.
It's all about efficiency.
Yeah. I love that.
And spiders, man. I don't want to be underneath the house with those spiders.
Yeah, for sure.
No, not me.
I don't mind, but if I see it, it's cool. But if it spooks me, like if I don't see it,
I'll just don't do rodents, varmints, anything. Rats.
Ooh,
no, you don't.
I threw on my back last week when my phone went off in my cargo pocket, and I was under a crawl space just doing a check, and my phone went off, and it didn't ring yet, but it vibrated real hard, and I thought something was crawling over me. I've never turned so fast, but in a tight spot, so I was like, my back was all thrown. I was like, oh, I should have sent the robot.
That's what the robot was for. Okay. So that's a teaser for the next live Q&A is how to build or use a robot to. That's an interesting teaser. Okay. Well, everybody, thanks for joining in this content, and we'll be doing more of these. So make sure you text the word investor to the number 33777. Everybody have a good night.